Fasting comes with many benefits, but let's be honest, your breath may not be one of them. And trust me, I've learned the hard way. Let me set the scene for you. It's Christmas time. There's family, food everywhere. I haven't broke my fast yet. I go to hug my brother and he gives me a reality check in the way that only a loving brother can. He said, "Oh my gosh, Jackie, your breath is awful." And he acted like he was gonna get sick. And the funny thing is, I knew that my breath tasted bad. What I didn't realize until that moment was that other people around me knew just how bad my breath was also. It was a very humbling moment, but it taught me something. Sometimes being a perfect faster isn't worth the experience that you might face with the horrible breath. So I was very grateful actually that my brother said that, even if it was rude, Jesse, because it helped me to realize that what I was tasting was actually as evident to others, because I wasn't like breathing in his nostrils when he did that. I was close, but not super close. So I'm going to share with you exactly how I handle bad breath as a faster. If you've ever had a longer fast, or maybe even just starting with skipping breakfast, you might notice it too. It's something called keto breath. That not so fresh breath is common among fasting because it's a result of our body burning fat for fuel. Called keto breath because it happens when you're in ketosis. When you fast, your body produces ketones, including one called acetone. And guess what? Acetone can be released in your breath, giving it a metallic or a sweetish smell. Combine that with a dry mouth from not eating or drinking much, and that's a recipe for, well, social distancing in the worst way. Now, before we get into how I combat bad breath, I need to give a basic disclaimer that I almost can't believe I have to share, but yes, I absolutely brush my teeth as a faster. I brush them in the morning, I brush them in the evening, and heck, if I feel like I need to, I'll brush them in the middle of the day. Does toothpaste ruin your fast? I don't know, and honestly, I don't care. I use a sugar-free toothpaste. Obviously, do they even make sugared toothpaste? And it's actually a psychological signal that you're done eating, because we never brush our teeth right before we eat, or in general, I never do. So it doesn't make me feel hungry. And beyond that, I'm not giving up my basic oral hygiene. So I brush my teeth, I brush my tongue, I do it regularly, and that is not a habit I'm willing to stop, even if it made me a better faster. So these tips are on top of basic hygiene. Yes, I get asked the question about brushing my teeth. No, I don't worry about it. But I wanted to make that clear. Basic oral hygiene is still a must. So let's just be clear. Your girl is not skipping dental care in the name of ketosis. Let's stay committed to our oral health while we fast, shall we? Beyond the basics, what do we do when we have bad breath in the middle of a fast? Probably heard to avoid mints and gum while fasting, and I definitely think that they can break a fast. But this, to me, is where practical meets perfection, and sometimes they can't coexist. I don't need to be a perfect faster. I do, however, need to enjoy my life. I want to be a kind, present human, whether I'm on a date with my husband or meeting with a teacher at the school. If I'm in close quarters with someone, and if I can taste it, I can assume that they can smell it, just as we experienced with my brother Jesse. So what do? I do something that's gonna make us both or all more comfortable in a close situation like that. I use a tool. Sometimes I put a dab of pure peppermint oil right on my tongue. But what I do most frequently is a mint or a breath strip. I do personally try to avoid chewing gum. It's not something I do perfectly, but gum does give me the chewing motion, which maybe makes me feel a little hungrier. And when I have something that's extremely minty, my body doesn't feel triggered as if it's hungry, but maybe gum does that to me. And if I have gum, it certainly isn't gonna be like Sour Patch watermelon. I'm not trying to get the candy flavor in my mouth. It's strictly a tool. It's not a treat. That's personally how I approach it, because I'm not trying to have a treat. I'm simply trying to avoid an unfortunate stinky situation. And I have a recent favorite find from the Sweet and Snack Expo. You can see here, these are called Cool Caps. There are 4 giant packs in here, so your girl's well stocked. That's how much I like these. To give you an illustration of how minty they are, my kids do not like these because they're so strong, which is exactly why I like it. It bursts in your mouth and it gives a very nice cooling sensation, but then it also helps your stomach to not produce as much bad breath, or that's what they state. I actually really find it to be effective. I am not sponsored in any way. I did try them at the Sweet and Snack Expo. I got some freebies to try, just like I did at hundreds of booths, but this one really stuck with me because it was very effective on my breath. and now this is in my purse. So I'm sharing these with you as a super fan. I'm not paid or anything. I actually just really liked it. I like the cool caps. They also have strips, which I use more than I would use gum. They have a spray that's very effective. I personally stay away from the strawberry, but my kids like that better. But I feel like that's more of a treat than a tool. These give instant freshness. They're sugar-free and gluten-free. And the outer capsule pops in your mouth, and the inner capsule helps fight odor from your gut, which is what I need. It comes in a 40 pack, but then it releases one and you pull it out and then you can drop it there. I'm sharing this specific brand because it doesn't spike my hunger, it doesn't taste like candy, and it's very effective. Like holy mint, my whole sinus just cleared up, and I really like that. I want it to be strong and minty, not like a treat. It's not a scientific promise, but it's a real tool that I use in my own fasting journey to help keep me comfortable when I'm in close quarters with others. And if you wonder if I really like it, like I said, I bought these myself and I have them on subscribe and save now. My approach to fasting is the same as my approach to breath mints. I want to be consistent, but that doesn't mean I have to be rigid. If a mint keeps me from being self-conscious at a meeting or helps me to enjoy a holiday gathering without worrying I'm offending someone, then it's totally worth it to me. When I bring coffee and I sip it, coffee breath helps to mask the other bad breath I might be experiencing. It's like a cozy little backup plan. Let's cheers to Team Coffee Breath. So if you've ever worried about bad breath while fasting, I'm here to tell you, yes, it's normal. And unfortunately, I do still deal with it 5 years later. But the good news is there are tools that you can use so that you don't have to derail your fast. You just might have to let go of the clutch of perfection. Use the tools that you need. Take time to find out what works well for you, what doesn't spike your hunger, what masks the breath. Stay kind to yourself, stay kind to others. And remember, sometimes being a joyful faster means carrying a mint. Who has time to worry about bad breath? I've never been one that thinks fasting requires perfection, and the longer I'm on this journey, the more grateful that I am that I can be flexible, which means that this can be sustainable. And if you want more on how I'm flexible and I don't adhere to any rigid rules, I do what works for me, I take time to experiment, you can see how I sometimes add flavors into my fast. Even though I spent the first almost 3 years not having flavors, I took time to experiment and see what worked for me and what didn't, and I share more about that right here. I'm in this for the long haul, so I want to have a lifestyle that works for me, not that I have to fit my life into. And I think that there is a fasting routine for all of us. Thank you so much for watching. Ciao, Donna, ciao.